There is a moment in every life when comfort becomes the enemy of growth. It is subtle, it feels safe, and it whispers convincing lies. It tells you that rest is always deserved, that tomorrow is a better time, that ease is a sign you are doing well. But the truth is this: your brain is designed to avoid discomfort, not to build greatness. And if you allow it to lead unchecked, it will keep you small while convincing you that you are protected. The future you want does not come from what is easy. It comes from what is hard, what is uncomfortable, and what demands more of you than you feel ready to give. Growth begins the moment you decide to force your brain to do the things it resists. Discipline is not punishment, it is training. And like any training, it reshapes what once felt impossible into what becomes natural. Your brain loves familiarity. It craves patterns, habits, and routines that conserve energy. That is why change feels exhausting before it feels empowering. That is why discipline feels heavy before it feels freeing. But here is the truth: most people never learn your brain can be trained. And when trained intentionally, it becomes your greatest ally instead of your strongest obstacle. Every time you choose to do the hard thing, wake up early, stay focused, say no to distraction, push past doubt, you are rewiring your mind. You are teaching it that discomfort is not danger. You are teaching it that effort leads to growth. You are teaching it that you are in control. And control over your mind is the foundation of success in every area of life. Hard things build identity. They teach you who you are when motivation fades. Anyone can perform when conditions are perfect, but character is revealed when it's inconvenient, when no one is watching, when quitting feels justified. When you force your brain to stay present, to stay disciplined, and to stay committed, you build trust with yourself. And self-trust is more powerful than confidence because it is earned. This is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about being honest. It is about understanding that comfort delays destiny and discipline delivers it. Your future self is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be consistent. Small acts of discipline done daily will outperform bursts of motivation every time. In 2026 and beyond, the world will reward those who can focus, endure, and adapt. Those who can train their minds to do hard things will rise. Not because life becomes easier, but because they become stronger. You were not created to live on autopilot. You were created to stretch, to challenge, and to grow. So when your brain says stop, pause and ask, is this pain or is this progress? Because progress often feels like resistance before it feels like power. Force your brain to do hard things, and one day, those hard things will feel like who you are. Your brain is not designed to make you great. It is designed to keep you safe. From an evolutionary perspective, the brain's primary job is survival, not success. It seeks comfort, familiarity, and efficiency, and it avoids anything that feels uncertain, painful, or demanding. This is why, when you decide to change your life, your mind immediately pushes back. It offers excuses that sound reasonable, doubts that feel logical, and fears that feel protective. But what feels safe is not always what helps you grow. Comfort is seductive because it feels harmless. It tells you that rest can wait until tomorrow, that effort can be delayed, that discomfort is a sign you are doing something wrong. Over time, comfort becomes a habit, and habits shape identity. When you repeatedly choose what is easy, your brain learns to resist challenge. It convinces you that effort is exhausting, that discipline is restrictive, and that growth is optional. This is how potential quietly fades, not through failure, but through avoidance. Growth begins the moment you recognize this pattern. Correct thinking requires awareness, the ability to notice when your brain is protecting you from discomfort instead of preparing you for progress. Every meaningful achievement requires you to step beyond what feels familiar. The first days of a new discipline always feel harder than they should, not because you are incapable, but because your brain is resisting change. It is conserving energy. It is clinging to routine. But resistance is not a warning, it is evidence that new pathways are being formed. When you force your brain to do hard things, you are not being cruel to yourself, you are being intentional. You are teaching your mind that discomfort is temporary and manageable. You are showing it that effort does not equal danger. With repetition, what once felt unbearable becomes tolerable, then familiar, and eventually empowering. This is how habits are built, how discipline becomes identity, and how mental strength is developed. Most people stop at the first sign of resistance. They interpret discomfort as failure instead of feedback. They retreat, reassure themselves, and remain where they are. But those who grow understand a different truth. Discomfort is the doorway to expansion. Every time you stay present in difficulty, you widen your capacity. You prove to yourself that you can endure more than you thought, and that proof builds self-trust, which is the foundation of confidence. Forcing your brain beyond comfort does not mean ignoring rest or compassion. It means distinguishing between genuine exhaustion and habitual avoidance. It means choosing long-term growth over short-term relief. The brain may ask for ease, but your future requires effort. When you choose discipline in moments of resistance, you send a powerful message to yourself: I am in control. Remember this: comfort maintains the current version of you, but challenge creates the next one. Your brain will always try to pull you back toward what is easy, but you do not have to obey every thought you have. Growth lives on the other side of comfort, and the moment you stop letting comfort make your decisions is the moment your life begins to change. Discipline is one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal growth. Many people associate it with restrictions, suffering, or self-denial, believing that forcing themselves to do hard things means being harsh, rigid, or unkind to their own needs. But true discipline is not punishment, it is training. It is the deliberate process of teaching your brain to work for you instead of against you. When understood correctly, discipline becomes an act of self-respect, not self-control. Your brain learns through repetition. It does not change because of inspiration alone, it changes because of consistent action. Every time you repeat a behavior, you strengthen a neural pathway. When you avoid effort, you train your brain to resist challenge. When you follow through, even when it feels uncomfortable, you teach your brain that effort is normal and manageable. This is how discipline rewires the mind. What once required force begins to require less effort, and eventually it becomes part of who you are. At first, discipline feels heavy because your brain is unfamiliar with the demand. It pushes back with fatigue, distraction, and excuses. This resistance is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that your brain is being asked to adapt. Most people misinterpret this discomfort and stop, but those who grow understand that the early stages of discipline are the hardest because the brain is learning a new pattern. If you persist, the resistance weakens and clarity replaces chaos. Discipline does not require intensity, it requires consistency. Small, repeated acts of effort shape the brain far more effectively than dramatic bursts of motivation. Forcing your brain to focus for 10 minutes daily builds more strength than waiting for the perfect hour of inspiration. Showing up when you don't feel like it trains reliability within yourself. And that reliability builds trust, not just in your abilities, but in your character. When discipline becomes mental training, your relationship with effort changes. You stop seeing hard work as a threat and start seeing it as a tool. You stop asking, how can I avoid this? And start asking, how can I improve here? This shift is powerful because it turns challenges into opportunities for mastery. The brain becomes more resilient, more focused, and less reactive. Discipline also frees you from emotional dependence. When your actions are guided by commitment rather than mood, you gain stability. You no longer rise and fall with motivation. You show up regardless. This creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence that does not collapse under pressure. You begin to trust yourself because you have evidence, not just intention. Forcing your brain to do hard things through discipline does not mean eliminating joy or rest. It means choosing progress with awareness. It means understanding that comfort feels good in the moment, but discipline pays dividends over time. Each act of discipline strengthens your ability to face discomfort without panic and effort without resentment. Remember, this discipline is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who you are capable of being. It is the quiet, repeated decision to honor your future over your present comfort. When you train your brain through discipline, you build a mind that is focused, resilient, and prepared for the demands of growth. And that is how forcing your brain to do hard things becomes the path to lasting strength and freedom. There is a simple truth about growth that few people fully understand. Hard things do not just teach skills, they teach who you are. Every time you force yourself to do what feels uncomfortable, every time you choose effort over ease, your brain records more than the action. It records the identity of a person who perseveres. Identity is built not in comfort, but in the moments when doing the right thing feels almost impossible. This is where character is formed, and this is where self-trust is forged. Most people measure success by visible results, money, recognition, or status. But the true measure of growth is the strength you cultivate when no one is watching, when motivation fades, and when quitting seems justified. The hard things you endure consistently create a foundation of trust in yourself. You begin to know, without doubt, that you can face challenges and follow through even when circumstances are not perfect. Self-trust is earned, not granted, and it is one of the most valuable assets you will ever develop. Consistency is the key to this process. Doing hard things once is an achievement. Doing them repeatedly builds identity. Waking up early once feels brave. Waking up early every day shapes a person who can prioritize, who can endure, and who can lead themselves. Pushing through fear once is a victory. Doing so consistently forms courage as a habit. Your identity is the sum of repeated choices, and your brain begins to recognize the person you are becoming long before your external circumstances reflect it. Hard things also reveal limitations, and those limitations are not failures, they are invitations. When you confront resistance, your mind and body show you what you are capable of overcoming. Each challenge exposes strength that was dormant, resilience that was untapped, and courage that was waiting for practice. By choosing to face difficulty instead of retreat, you train your brain to associate challenge with growth, not with threat. Over time, your mind stops resisting and starts anticipating progress. When you build identity through hard work, confidence becomes internal and unshakable. External validation may come and go, but self-trust is permanent. You no longer rely on praise to keep moving forward because your brain remembers the countless times you chose action over comfort. You know deep in your core that you can handle more than you previously believed. This quiet confidence is far more powerful than temporary motivation. It does not fade with mood or circumstance because it is grounded in proof, not hope. Hard work also creates a ripple effect. As you trust yourself, you begin to make bolder decisions, take smarter risks, and face challenges that once intimidated you. You no longer avoid difficulty because your brain has been trained to endure it. You no longer fear discomfort because you have learned that the effort itself is shaping who you are. Your identity evolves from a passive observer into an active creator of your life. Remember this, doing hard things consistently is not punishment. It is the method by which you grow into the person you are capable of becoming. Identity is built through endurance, not convenience. Self-trust is cultivated through repeated proof, not occasional success. Your future self will thank you not for avoiding difficulty, but for embracing it, for training your brain to face resistance, and for proving over and over that you are capable. By forcing your brain to do hard things, you do more than achieve goals. You shape your character, cement self-trust, and become the kind of person who thrives under pressure. And that, ultimately, is the greatest reward of all, a life lived with confidence, resilience, and unshakable identity. One of the hardest lessons life teaches is that discomfort is not the enemy. It is a guide. Most people feel uneasy when facing challenges, and instinctively they retreat. Pain, uncertainty, and resistance trigger the brain's survival mode, convincing you that stopping is safer than continuing. But this is where growth lies. Every moment that feels difficult, every task that challenges your patience, every obstacle that makes you question yourself is a signal that your limits are expanding and your potential is being tested. Discomfort is unavoidable if you are aiming for meaningful results. Success rarely comes wrapped in comfort. Achieving your dreams, building resilience, and mastering yourself all require stepping into situations that feel unfamiliar, awkward, or intimidating. If you are not uncomfortable, it is a sign you are not pushing far enough. Resistance is not a warning that you are failing. It is proof that you are moving beyond what is easy and into the territory of transformation. The brain naturally wants to avoid discomfort because it associates challenge with threat. That is why doing the hard thing feels scary or exhausting. But forcing your brain to engage with discomfort rewires it over time. You teach your mind that stress is not catastrophic. catastrophic, difficulty is not permanent, and effort is not harmful. This is how mental toughness is built, how resilience is formed, and how a person learns to perform under pressure without giving in to fear or hesitation. When you embrace discomfort intentionally, you also develop clarity. Resistance sharpens focus because it demands attention, patience, and deliberate action. Challenges force you to strategize, prioritize, and adapt. They highlight where you are strong and where you need improvement. Avoiding discomfort, on the other hand, keeps you in a fog of avoidance, indecision, and stagnation. Growth requires confrontation with what is hard, not escape from it. Discomfort also cultivates confidence. Each time you push through, your brain records a pattern of success in adversity. You prove to yourself repeatedly that you can endure, adapt, and prevail. Over time, this accumulates into unshakable self-trust because you have lived through difficult situations and emerged stronger. The next challenge feels manageable, not because it is easy, but because your brain remembers your ability to overcome. This is how resilience becomes habitual and how mental strength becomes natural. Many people misinterpret discomfort as a signal to stop, but correct thinking teaches you to pause, assess, and act. Ask yourself, is this pain or progress? Most often, discomfort is a sign that you are growing, learning, and stretching into new capacities. When you train your mind to welcome resistance rather than fear it, you unlock potential that would remain dormant if comfort were always your guide. Remember, the life you want, the discipline, the skills, the success, does not exist in ease. It exists in the moments when your brain wants to quit, when your body wants to rest, and when your mind wants to rationalize avoidance. Those are the moments that define you, and the moments that shape identity, and the moments that build the courage to persist. Learning to embrace discomfort transforms it from a threat into a teacher, from a challenge into an opportunity, and from resistance into progress. Discomfort is the signal, not the obstacle. Resistance is the invitation, not the rejection. When you force your brain to face what is hard, you transform each difficult moment into a stepping stone toward mastery, confidence, and lasting growth, and that is the power of embracing discomfort. It shapes not just what you do, but who you become. The most powerful secret about success is that mental strength today creates freedom tomorrow. Every time you force your brain to do something hard, every time you choose discipline over ease, every time you push past fear, doubt, or procrastination, you are not just completing a task, you are building the foundation of your future. Hard work is temporary, but the mental patterns you create last a lifetime. Your brain remembers what you repeatedly force it to do, and eventually what once felt impossible becomes effortless. Forcing your mind to do hard things is not about punishment, it is about preparation. Life will always demand more than comfort allows. Challenges, setbacks, and obstacles are inevitable. The difference between those who thrive and those who struggle is not luck. It is mental training. By confronting resistance today, you equip yourself to handle adversity tomorrow with clarity, focus, and resilience. This is the essence of future freedom, the ability to act decisively under pressure without hesitation because your mind has been trained for it. When you repeatedly take action despite discomfort, your brain rewires itself. Neural pathways strengthen, willpower grows, and the capacity to endure increases. Tasks that once seemed overwhelming now feel manageable. Opportunities that once intimidated you now feel within reach. Each act of discipline reinforces a core truth. You are capable, you are resilient, and you can achieve what your mind once resisted. Over time, this training allows your brain to approach challenges proactively, confidently, and without fear. Forcing your brain to do hard things also teaches one of life's most valuable lessons: delayed gratification. The rewards of discipline are rarely immediate. Growth, mastery, and achievement often take months or years of consistent effort before results become visible. Yet those who persevere learn that mental training is the invisible investment behind visible success. By practicing endurance, self-control, and focus, you are creating the conditions for a future in which effort feels natural and challenges no longer dictate your choices. Consistency is key. It is not a single act of courage that transforms your life, but repeated acts of commitment. Showing up every day, even when you do not feel motivated, reinforces patterns that ultimately govern your future. Your brain begins to anticipate effort instead of resisting it. Hard choices become habitual, resilience becomes natural, and what once required extraordinary effort becomes part of your standard operating system. Mental freedom is earned, not given. Finally, forcing your mind to do hard things cultivates confidence and self-trust. When your brain repeatedly proves that it can endure difficulty, you no longer fear the unknown. You begin to trust yourself, not because circumstances are perfect, but because your mind has learned to navigate adversity. Self-trust is the ultimate freedom. It allows you to make decisions boldly, take risks wisely, and pursue your goals without hesitation. This is the life you create when you train your brain intentionally. Remember, the life you want, success, clarity, fulfillment, and freedom does not come from avoiding effort. It comes from embracing it. Each hard decision, each uncomfortable moment, each disciplined act is a step toward mastery over your mind and over your life. Force your brain to do what is hard today, and you will create a life tomorrow where challenges feel manageable, growth feels natural, and freedom is inevitable. As we reach the end of this message, remember this truth. Your brain is not your enemy. It is your most powerful tool. Every habit you build, every challenge you embrace, and every hard choice you make today shapes the life you will live tomorrow. Growth does not happen in comfort. Mastery does not happen in ease. Freedom does not happen without effort. You have learned that your brain avoids discomfort by default, that discipline is not punishment but training, that hard things build identity and self-trust, that discomfort is a signal of growth rather than danger, and that forcing your mind today creates freedom tomorrow. These are not abstract ideas, they are principles to live by, to practice daily, and to use as stepping stones to the life you desire. The future you dream of will not arrive through luck or convenience. It will arrive because of the moments you chose to push when your mind wanted to stop, the actions you took when excuses whispered, and the courage you displayed when the path was hard. Each small, deliberate choice compounds, rewires your brain, and builds mental strength that lasts a lifetime. Do not wait for motivation. Do not wait for ease. Do not wait for the perfect moment. The right moment to train your mind, to challenge yourself, and to do the hard things is now. Every effort you make against resistance becomes a deposit in the account of your future self. Every time you choose action over comfort, you prove to yourself that you are capable, resilient, and unstoppable. Remember this: comfort maintains the version of you that already exists. Hard work, discipline, and intentional effort create the version of you that you are meant to become. Train your brain. Force it to do what feels difficult. Embrace discomfort as a teacher. Build habits that strengthen identity and self-trust. And above all, take ownership of your mind, because the way you think today will determine the life you live tomorrow. Step forward. Push through. Do the hard things. Your future self is waiting, stronger, wiser, and free because of the choices you make today.